Alright. Should be live now. Just gotta wait a few minutes for people to pop in. I believe we're also live on YouTube. Not really able to see my comments for whatever reason, but it's fine. So here you guys go. You guys can just have a look at that while I work on some stuff at the beginning of this stream. Bear with me for a little while longer. Today we're going to be working a little bit more on this lightsaber stuff, and I'll update you guys on what's been happening the past couple of days. Hopefully people on TikTok can hear me. Hello people on TikTok. We're going to be working on some detail work for the chassis here. Trying to remember where the heck my studio thing is on YouTube with the live section. Alright, looks like we have someone on YouTube. Unfortunately, I can't see your comments quite yet. There we go. Got it. Perfect. Hey Ryan, how's it going? Just setting things up for the beginning of the stream so I can read all your comments. Perfect. All right. So I guess I'll just get started now. It's been a few minutes. So, at the end of the previous stream, I was having an issue with the chassis going into the hilt and the blade acting all weird. It was all staticky in some areas, a little bit of white showing through. So I spent all of yesterday trying to troubleshoot and figure out what was going on. I didn't stream it though, because I wanted to make sure I could focus on it. So what I ended up doing, I ended up testing a brand new chassis. So I took a soundboard. I took a brand new soundboard and essentially, well, first thing I did was I undid one wire at a time, fired up the lightsabers, and checked out how it worked. And then the next thing I did was remove the bare bones for the blade, which is the data and the negatives and the positive, plugged that into my test kit, and then put this in the hilt, and the blade worked perfectly fine. So that way I determined everything up here works perfectly. There's no issue with the wires. There's no issues with like broken connections or anything. And to me, that indicated that the soundboard I was using was kind of busted. So what I ended up doing was, after a very long time of more and more testing, I put a brand new soundboard in that I had lying around. But when I did, the blade was still acting exactly the same. So I did more tests. I took out the wires again, I replugged them into my test kit, the blade worked perfectly fine. undid a bunch of wires. Eventually, I completely removed the brand new soundboard, plugged all my wires into the test kit, and everything worked perfectly. So I determined after a few hours of very minute testing of different things as to what they could be, I determined that the new soundboard that I put in was also busted, which makes sense because most of the boards that I have just lying around are busted boards. I need to start labeling them better so that I know not to use them. But I was a little confused because that one didn't have any solder or anything on it. So I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure, that both of the soundboards that I put into here were busted in some way to cause the staticky blade. So what I ended up doing temporarily, one, I bought a brand new board. It's coming hopefully soon, but I don't know when. But I put my test kit board in here. So this is my test kit soundboard. Everything works perfectly. The only issue, and why I can't use this as its permanent board, is because this is not the 9-axis version, this is the 6-axis version, which means there's no magnetic sensor, no force activation. So I have to wait for the 9-axis board to arrive, I have to remove this board again, put in the brand new one, and then hope it works. I don't know why it wouldn't, because this soundboard works perfectly fine. It's exactly how it needs to be. So, like, it's a brand new soundboard. It's the same exact SD card. I even test swapping the SD cards between like 4 of my soundboards here. But this is the SD card that I had on the original board, and it works perfectly fine. So it has nothing to do with the SD card, nothing to do with the config files, nothing to do with my wiring. Seems to be everything to do with the board itself, which is why this soundboard works, but the other two that I tried didn't work. Still unsure why the second one didn't work, considering there was no solder on it, so I've never used it before. No idea, but I'm really hoping that when the new soundboard comes in and I plug it in to the chassis here, it all works perfectly fine, because honestly I have no idea why it wouldn't. This soundboard works perfectly. Everything works perfectly, so yeah. Joe Turo on TikTok is asking what does this do? It looks cool, and that's pretty much all it does. So let me show you, actually. I also glued in the positive once I knew for sure everything was wired in properly. So this is a glued in positive tab. Let me grab my battery and just throw it in. There we go. Okay, and right after I told you everything works perfectly, apparently this just isn't working perfectly, so the speaker must have gotten messed up somewhere. Let's go ahead and fix it. Pop this guy out. Have a look. Yep, looks like one of the wires just fell off. Alrighty. Let's fix that real quick. Unfortunately, the more and more you remove things and replace things and test things, the less structurally sound these wires seem to get until you replace them or add an extension or whatever. So, let's go ahead and fix it. Today's job is really easy. One, I'm going to show you that this thing is working. There we go. One, I'm going to show you this is working. And two, basically, we're going to add the red accent wires and maybe cut the tiny tubes that go in these holes here. So all the tedious work. So hopefully we get some people who pop in here and, you know, we can chat with. Not that this matters too much to get working perfectly, because again, I'm going to be replacing the soundboard.
I've never been so lonesome.
But still, it'd be nice to have it work so you can see.
I'm completely lost without you.
That's so sick, thank you. It is a very cool soundboard. Or not soundboard, chassis. I'm just thinking about soundboards right now.
Miss anyone person.
I'll probably need to add an extension to this wire eventually, but for now, this is gonna work.
It won't be too much longer till I'm able to be
There we go.
again.
Is it a lightsaber kebab roll? No. I don't know what a kebab roll is. That's probably food. Kebab roll. I don't like kebabs. Too annoying to eat. Unless I guess you're traveling. Or like on the move. Did you make it? I didn't design it, but I did make it in the sense of putting everything together, soldering the wires, planning out the build, adding accent LEDs, and etc. So, yeah, I'd say I built it. I just didn't design it. Alright, let's throw this back in.
Well,
There we go.
core stability at 90.
The reason it turns on automatically is because I have the magnetic sensor force activation set up, but this is not a magnetic sensing board.
Core stability confirmed. Maintenance mode deactivated. Crystal core shielded. Goodbye.
Icy Floridian says, I haven't been too caught up. Did something happen to the board? Yeah. I think the board got busted at the very, very end of my build in episode 4 or something like that. I accidentally swapped the positive and negative on the soundboard, and while there is reverse polarity protection where it protects everything, it does mess with the, something on the soundboard. But basically, I pretty much have to replace the soundboard. That's my guess as to what's wrong, or it could just be faulty. Yeah, because I tried a brand new soundboard to replace it with, like I had mentioned earlier, and to me it looked like that soundboard didn't have any solder on it, etc. So I thought it was brand new, but apparently that was also messed up, so it didn't work. But it was acting the exact same way. But when I put this soundboard in, it's perfectly fine. I'm very confused. So I just bought a brand new one, 9-axis, which has the magnetic sensor. It's coming in the mail hopefully soon, but I don't know. Maybe next week at the latest, hopefully. And then when I put it in, it'll work. Again, hopefully. But this is what it works, or how it looks like when it works. This is pretty much how it was before. You know, when I had it originally with the first soundboard, it all works here, but when you put it inside of the hilt, the blade has like white artifacts and stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on with that. Let me show you inside the lightsaber with the blade to show you that it does in fact work. Also, I got word from the guy who I'm making this lightsaber for. He says he prefers this... Okay. He prefers this hilt over the Astoria Workshop one because of the color contrast, probably in the grip mainly. So I swapped over the button thing we made in the previous episode, the previous live stream, put it in here, and then I spent also a few hours working on getting this cogwheel to work as best as I can. Because the trick with this setup is it presses the button at the very end of the cogwheel's turn, but if there's any friction, it can prevent the return of the button press. So you press it in and it'll just stick. So you either have to sand things down or you have to lubricate it a lot. I did both. I even got a new lubricant. I got a what was it? Lithium grease, white lithium grease spray thing. I guess that helped a little bit, but yeah, I also have to sand down these washers and stuff. I didn't film any of that, but yeah, it can be really, really annoying to try and get this cogwheel thing to work right. And even now, it doesn't work perfectly how I want it, because if you press it, it'll get stuck ever so slightly. So in order for it to, like, return, you have to add a little bit of a flick to it. Basically, you just have to have a follow-through with your button press. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's an indication of the button working, right? But if you press it and just leave it, it won't return unless you just give it a little nudge. There you go. So when you use this, you basically just have to spring it. Give it a little flick, and then it works perfectly. See? So it's super smooth up until that point where it could potentially get stuck right there. But this is honestly probably the best I could get out of this button with all the work I put into it. And it works really, really well, except for if you just press it and don't add a little bit of bounce back to it. And it just takes a very slight amount of work. Archer, welcome back. I did not necessarily fix it, but I figured out what was wrong with it. I did a lot of experimentation yesterday. I already went over this a little bit earlier in the stream, but I'll give you a brief rundown here. So I tested it a lot, tore out wires, plugged them into my test kit. I tore out just the essential ones for the blade, plugged them into the test kit, which is like the negative, positive, and the data. The blade works perfectly, so I know that there's nothing wrong with the wiring up here. Absolutely everything works perfectly. So at that point I figured it's probably a soundboard thing, so I went into what I thought was new soundboards. I have one 9-axis soundboard that I thought wasn't broken. Then I replaced the soundboard, basically tore out the old one, put the new one in, but it was still having the same exact problem with the weird blade happening. So then I spent even more time tearing the wires out, pulling out one at a time, seeing what happens, trying to figure out where the issue could be. But then eventually I just tore out all the wires, plugged everything into my test kit. Everything worked perfectly, including the blade. So I determined the new soundboard I put in was also faulty. So I had two soundboards that were just completely messed up. So I bought a new 9-axis CFX that should hopefully be arriving soon. Hopefully this week, but maybe next week. And then I just took my test kit soundboard, and that's what you're seeing here. And what you're seeing here works perfectly. Like, literally everything works great. The only reason I can't use this board is because it's not a 9-axis, so there's no force activation, there's no magnetic sensor. So yeah, once the new soundboard arrives, I'm going to be installing it. Hopefully it works. I don't see why it wouldn't. I'm highly confused if it still doesn't work. At that point, I'm just going to say it's probably an issue with the 9-axis board, which I have no idea why that would be the case. So, really confusing. I'm just assuming that the new board I put in it before was also busted, so yeah. That's pretty much what I've determined. And then I spent the rest of my day yesterday, a few hours, working on getting this cogwheel thing to work, which I believe you were here for. Oh. Your internet crashed, your screen's frozen for you. Oh man. Yeah, you should also check the beginning of the stream. So you can see sort of what's going on with all of my all the stuff from last time. But let's go ahead and plug this thing in just so you can see that the blade does in fact work.
Well,
Ah.
core stability at 93.138%.
That turns on automatically because I have the force activation set up, but the board doesn't have any force activation, so it just turns itself on. So there you go, and then boom. The blade works perfectly. It's not flickering. Well, it's flickering, but you know how it's supposed to. It's not like going crazy with white. Ricardo Cruz. Do I sell these? I do.
Crystal core exposed. Repair and maintenance mode operational.
I do sell these. I mainly do commission work, so if you send me a message, we can work out a project pretty much, and then I can give you the pricing, the options you have for customization, etc. But all of my work is very expensive because I work with high-end hilts that are high quality, highly accurate, and I work with the best electronics I can. And then obviously you have someone who can work on your lightsaber for life, essentially, if anything goes wrong. But in the end, you get a very high quality lightsaber that's really, really cool. I can do basic chassis that are just plastic. I can do basic ones with crystal in it. I can do the crazy ones with metal and spinning pieces. I could do a lot of it. And eventually I'll be able to do weathering of hilts, design of hilts, hopefully. I am going to be teaching myself how to do that, and then I can design my own chassis all the way up to a master chassis, which is crazy. Can you get one for free? No, but you can, work and save up some money and then pay me to make you one. Or you can learn how to make one yourself, because I teach people how to do that too. You could check out my videos on YouTube or the shorts on TikTok. Now, my plan for today, since I got this whole section working... Yep. I may try and work on it a little bit more, but I honestly have no clue what else I can do to make it. I have no clue what I can do to make it even better than this. The gold lightsaber goes so hard. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll show you a comparison between the weathered version and the unweathered version. As you can see, I'm going to be adding these red wires that you see at the bottom one. I'm going to add them to the top one here. And I think that's what I'm going to be doing today. That, and then cutting all the tubes. All these super tiny tubes that go in these little holes here, and these little holes here. I won't be putting them in the holes until I have the soundboard in and I make sure everything works. But I will cut them to the right size. And it is my least favorite part, surprisingly, of this entire build. Despite the fact that this build has not been going particularly smoothly. But I guess it's good for you guys to see how to work through problems that you come across. Because no matter what, you're going to come across problems, even if, you've been working on lightsabers for a long time and etc. You will always come across problems. You'll make mistakes because you're not thinking, or maybe because you're live streaming, so your brain's not too focused, like what I've been doing. And that's probably why a lot of these issues have come up that normally never do. But it's very good for you guys to see how you overcome these things, and generally how you test them. Even though I didn't show you how to test all the soundboard stuff yesterday, because I wanted to focus, you guys kind of get an idea on how it all works. Is it only the handle? No, I have the blade over here, but there's really no reason to have... The blade's super easy. Nothing crazy. So... yeah, it's mainly just this section we work on and then making this work here. Now, I guess we'll do the wires. I have this wire here.
Commander Rex, you're in violation of Order 66. I accuse you of treason against...
And then we pretty much just eyeball it.
Deploy the garrison.
Daniel on TikTok says, "Hey, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you?" You just followed too, so you must be new to the channel. Have you seen any of my videos on TikTok before? Basically, these days, and for the past few years, I mainly just make lightsaber related content. Because I guess people like watching them. I can't blame them. I think these lightsabers are awesome. That's why, you know, it's my hobby. And these live streams, oh, you just saw the live, so you followed? Nice. Okay, so you have seen them, just never followed. I appreciate following. See, what I see on TikTok is if you ever follow someone, you almost never see their videos again, which is a bit disappointing, at least for me. Maybe I'm just using TikTok wrong, but I actually think I prefer when my videos go out to non-followers and then no one follows, because people will actually watch my videos. Because it feels like if I post videos, they don't even show it to my followers a lot of the time. So, like, what's the point? But it's nice to have people follow, because then it's like an acknowledgement that you guys enjoy my work, which is very nice. Let's see. How do we get these wires? So these wires, you pretty much just eyeball it and then figure it out from there. This was fun. We don't do anything fancy with these wires. These are literally just decorative on the outside. All the wires on the inside I did all black, which is, again, another nightmare, but it's worth it in the end so you don't really see it. Light it up. I did earlier. Right now I'm working on adding the detail work on the outside here. But once we get that figured out, I'm gonna light it up again. Are you also live streaming somewhere else or just TikTok? I'm also live streaming to my YouTube channel, so you could head over to the YouTube channel if you'd like. I think it's a little bit higher quality of a stream. You get music on both though, so ultimately you can choose whichever you'd like. How do you even begin a project like that? A lot of thinking. Luckily these days, they basically just provide you with all the electronics and all the parts for it. You can just get it in a whole big kit. In the past, you had to source your own parts and kind of figure out what parts you need. But these days, you can just buy the kit. If you go to the Saber Armory, they have a ton of lightsaber hilts that are super high quality, really close to what the movies are, because they pay attention to detail, etc. But this in particular hilt is discontinued, so you'll have to find it secondhand on like Facebook posts or something. Facebook groups. How does this work? Guess I have to bend it in an S. And kind of hope for the best here. And then after that, you can look at resources like my YouTube channel. I do have a full 1-hour video going through a build, step by step, and pretty much trying to teach how best to build lightsabers. So you can follow that tutorial and it'll help. But something like this, go to Goth3 Designs, who's the chassis designer, the guy who designed this whole thing. He does have a tutorial on there, and it goes step by step. It's not the best thing, but it goes over all the important bits. Okay, that's probably fine. I think this is a bit long, so I'll chop this down. Something like that. So I have to cut a wire to this shape and size 4 times. My goodness. I'll zoom in so you guys can have a little bit of a closer look. Yeah, nothing too exciting today, just small detail work. Alright, looks like that. That's pretty much perfect. So I'm gonna just straighten it out a bit. Yep, that looks good to me. So let's cut 3 more to approximately this length. Icy Floridian on YouTube says, have you ever installed one of the new pixel sticks that are out? I'm planning to use one for my Kara Hero Master Chassis build, and I'm excited. I have not. I have done the Saber Tech version from Saber Bay, and I guess Custom Saber Shop also sells it. It's literally exactly the same as all the other lightsaber blade builds that you do. So it's really simple. You just have the positive, negative, and data. And that's that. The end result is really awesome. Having 4 sides on your blade is just amazing. Mine is 7/8 inches, so I don't know about 1 inch how that looks, but obviously it's going to look much better. And the one from KR Sabers I'm really excited about because, you know, they made their own strip. And their previous one was phenomenal. So I imagine this one's going to be really bright. Most of the shadows on the sides of the blade are going to be gone because of those side pixels. And then the tip. I'm excited about the tip being lit up too. But my 7/8 inch blade is really, really cool. So yeah, you're going to love it. You have no idea how these saber companies are set up, like KR Sabers or Theory Sabers, or they each have their own unique manufacturing source. So Theory Sabers doesn't have his own manufacturing facilities. He uses TXQ, which he says are like a factory or whatever. They're not a factory. TXQ is a lightsaber company that has their own factories. So they are not a manufacturer. They are a lightsaber company that manufactures their own lightsabers. And then companies like Theory Sabers are one of their distributors. So they either drop ship, which I don't think Theory Saber does, which is good. They resell the lightsabers. So they buy the lightsabers from TXQ. They get it in-house, and then they add their own sound fonts in it, and then like package it up in their own branded stuff. So they're just selling TXQ hilts. So you could just buy it cheaper going straight to TXQ than buying it from Theory Sabers, and then just upload your own sound fonts and stuff. And then you'd pay significantly less. But Theory Sabers is not the worst out there. They do overcharge a little bit, but if that's how much they want to sell their packages for, go right ahead. I have nothing against the guy, just, you know, he should be a little more transparent about the fact that none of his lightsabers are actually his. They're all TXQ. He might have 1 or 2 that are a little bit manufactured differently, but as a whole, like 99% of his stuff is literally just the same as everyone else's lightsabers. So most lightsaber companies that you see these days are resellers or dropshippers that overcharge for their lightsabers when you can just buy it straight from LGT or TXQ. And then you have the companies that were made by the lightsaber community. So the custom lightsaber community is a different thing. Something that's existed for like decades at this point, started on forums, is made by people who design their own stuff and have their own manufacturers either in the United States or they find one in China that will make it to their specifications and their own designs. And these are manufacturers not necessarily associated with anything lightsaber related, like TXQ. Like I said, that's a lightsaber company, not a manufacturer. And KR Sabers, what they do, they design all of their own things, they mock them up, they send them to a manufacturer that they've contracted, and then they have them sent like samples, and then they refine those samples, basically give them feedback, and then eventually that manufacturer has the lightsaber process done so that they make their own stuff. So KR Sabers, the Saber Army, same thing. They design their own stuff, send it to their own manufacturers that they've sourced themselves, and then it gets made. But they also sell Elf Sabers, which is another lightsaber company, but it's not like a mass production thing. They are much higher quality than all the other ones, like TXQ or LGT. Elf Sabers makes much higher accuracy hilts, much higher quality, and specifically for installers. And they manufacture the hilts, but I don't think Elf Sabers sells lightsabers. Like TXQ and LGT, they sell their lightsabers as well as having other people distribute them for them. But I don't think Elf Sabers has their own store or anything. They exclusively just make these hilts for these lightsaber people to sell. I believe that's how it is. I haven't looked too much into it, but essentially the Saber Armory sells a mix of both stuff that they make themselves, in conjunction with other people within the lightsaber community and their own manufacturing place. And they sell Elf Sabers hilts. So you'll be able to tell the difference because they label it in their description on their website. But something like this, they worked in conjunction with Goth3 Designs, Denis Lukyanov, who has made and designed quite a few high accuracy lightsaber hilts in the custom saber community. I don't know if One Replicas was a part of this, and Multiverse Props might have been a part of this too. I can't remember if Corbanth was a part of it. But essentially it was a big collaboration between multiple people in the lightsaber community that add a lot of... They contribute a lot to lightsabers as a whole. Like Goth3 designs chassis, works on high accuracy renders, etc. Oh, Wanawanga too. They're big on movie prop accuracy. And then they all got together to design this thing, and then they got it working. It took them years, I think. Where would KR Sabers source from? Their own stuff. KR Sabers designs their own stuff, and then sends it to their own manufacturers that they found in China, probably. They might have some in London because they're based in London, but I'm pretty sure they find some in China, and then they have their designs made to their specifications. Except for when they use Elf Sabers hilts, which, again, Elf Sabers is a manufacturer of lightsabers, but I don't think they distribute their own lightsaber hilts. They just have people sell them, which is unlike the mass market of TXQ and LGT, which you could buy directly from them rather than just going to these resellers who mark up the price and don't really give you any quality control or customer service if anything breaks. But yeah, if you want to go the more accurate route where the hilts are highly accurate, designed with like care and with installers in mind, or good materials, etc., you have to go with people from the lightsaber community, like KR Sabers at the Saber Armory. Corbanth they got a little weird, their website, because they started doing some reselling stuff in addition to doing their own thing, like they've always done. So I kind of stay away from Corbanth these days just because I get confused by their new website and their new business models. Shadowfoil Props is really good. You can go to places like Ignition Sabers, Phoenix Props, Solo's Hold is a good old one. Roman Props is one of the original great ones for Graflex replicas and Obi-Wan Episode 4 replicas. Rey's lightsaber's good for such a bad character, yeah. It's a bit disappointing. I remember when I saw it in theaters, I thought the saber sucked. But when I got it in person, I'm like, okay, this lightsaber's actually really, really cool. So you kind of just have to learn how to separate the lightsaber from the character, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I have a little bit of delay on my YouTube, so I just answered that. Timing, yeah. Unfortunately, my timing is a little bit later. Archer, oh, welcome back. I'm glad to see that it unfroze. Hopefully you can skip back a little bit on the live stream to check out what my answer was as to if I solved the problem from the previous stream. Short answer, kind of. Just gonna take a little bit more time for the new soundboard to come in. There we go, that one looks pretty good. I want to make these wires look fairly symmetrical. And I also don't want too many dents in them. So I have to be pretty careful here. Is NeoPixel one of the bad companies, or however you call them? So NeoPixel is not a company. NeoPixel is a general term that lightsabers have adopted. So let me explain. Lightsabers used to just have LEDs inside of the hilt itself, shining through the emitter into a hollow tube with a mirror at the end, so it kind of fills out the blade. And then something called NeoPixel strips were invented, where you have little... I can actually show you a little bit. This is a mini version, not the kind that goes in your blade, but it's very similar. Imagine this, but slightly larger. There you go. So they invented these 3 LED LEDs, so 3 color LEDs, and put them on a strip. And essentially they took the sticky backs and stuck 2 of them together, so 2 halves, and then put them inside of a blade. And then after that, we call them NeoPixel blades, or NeoPixel lightsabers. Lightsabers that utilize NeoPixel strips. But lightsabers have not used the NeoPixel brand strips, and NeoPixel is not a lightsaber company, it's just like an LED strip name or something like that. I think it was from Adafruit. But lightsabers have not used those strips for a long time. But we still call lightsabers that use LED strips in the blade NeoPixel lightsabers. So I don't think any company can really call themselves NeoPixel because it's trademarked or something like that. So don't buy from like a NeoPixel lightsaber place just because it's a NeoPixel store. That doesn't mean it's the original lightsaber or whatever, or the inventor of it. No, that's just them using a general term for this technology as their company name. Probably to trick people. And like I was saying earlier, most of these places you see nowadays and that get advertised on social media and that you find on websites, etc., it's been flooded with these resellers. These resellers and drop shippers of the same 2 mass production lightsaber companies from China, TXQ and LGT, which are not necessarily the highest quality electronics or installs or hilts or highly accurate at all. It's pretty low accuracy, if at all. And they're literally just made to take advantage of people's wallets. Or to give you a cheap lightsaber alternative, even though you could make one or have someone make you one for just about the same price. But you can't really beat China's prices at these manufacturing rates because I guess most likely they use really cheap labor because of their lack of labor laws out there. I don't know how their labor laws work, but I do know that their labor is significantly cheaper than anywhere else, which is why everyone manufactures in China. There we go. That's pretty much it for the top section here. Some red wires. I will glue them in eventually. So yeah, always do your research before buying lightsabers. Most of the cheap ones are not good quality, etc. But if you're looking for a cheap lightsaber just because you want something to beat up and not care if it breaks, by all means, go for it. But make sure you don't overspend on it, because a lot of these places just overcharge a lot. I understand doing the whole drop shipping or like the reselling, you have to raise your prices in order to make a profit. I understand that, but there's to a certain degree, because there's some people that raise their prices by hundreds of dollars and do absolutely nothing. The one on the left is off screen. Oh, yeah. Let's move it up a little bit. There you go. Sorry, it's a bit tricky to do everything that I want to do with my camera right in the middle. Just because it's a little bit further away from me. There you go. Let's see. Rey and Kylo suck, but their sabers look interesting. Yeah, I agree. Kylo's a little more interesting, but they didn't do anything with this character. Rey and Kylo have grown on you. The yin-yang of conflict Skywalker and conflicted Palpatine was an interesting dynamic. It could have been an interesting dynamic if they did it right, but they didn't. Their characters were not good. Kylo's was kind of interesting, but didn't go anywhere. Rey also didn't go anywhere. There was no real development there. They tried, kind of. I think the main issue with all of it is just their lack of planning. They didn't have a plan for the 3 movies. They just made the first movie, and then they had a new director come in and completely scrap what might have happened after the first movie. And then they brought the first guy back for the 3rd movie to retcon all the stuff that happened in the 2nd movie and to try to tie things in a single movie, which doesn't work. So, very unfortunate. The only saving grace with those movies is the fact that it has modern visuals. Because you really cannot beat Star Wars in the modern day special effects world. Absolutely amazing. George Lucas saying Star Wars is a family soap opera, basically seeing 2 different types of children's conflicts with their family. Skywalker reconciling with his family, Palpatine disowning her family. I guess, if you want to look at it that way, it makes it a little better. But that was never intended, that's for sure. That's kind of just trying to make the best out of a bad situation, in my opinion. Ethan the Nerd says, just wanted to say that looks good, thank you. Here. Sorry, I keep moving it off screen because it's far away from me. Just yell at me if I move it off screen again, and then I'll move it back. Where do the electronics come from? They come from a kit, or you buy them separately. You could do either one. I highly recommend... Okay, I cut this too short. Oh well. I highly recommend going to the Saber Armory. They're my favorite place to go for lightsaber parts, and they also have the best hilts. There are certain places you can go for slightly better ones if you want a little more accuracy, but if you want to install your own, have super highly accurate hilts, like this is definitively the most accurate Rey lightsaber ever made, and I don't think it's ever going to be beaten, because it's an absolute pain to make and design, etc., so that's why it's discontinued too. So anyways, go to the Saber Armory. They will have the best of the best. They also offer kits for different levels of installs, from a basic Eco lightsaber, which is just plastic, to an Eco crystal chamber, which is plastic and plastic crystal, and then there's the Master Chassis, which has metal. And then you can get the electronics that they provide for you. You don't even have to look them up or try and figure out what works. You can literally just use what they have, and it's amazing. Or you can customize it yourself, buy your own parts, kind of like what I do, because a lot of the parts I used in here are not from the kit. You can also go to the chassis designers' websites themselves, because they sell them on their own as well, and they also offer them in kit form with electronics and such. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do. I highly recommend checking out my 1-hour tutorial on YouTube that I made a couple years ago. I include a bunch of resources. Okay, I think that's probably good right there. Probably. I think I'll cut it a little bit shorter. I don't want the wires to stick out too much into the lightsaber. Are you on the Purple app? No, but should I be? I'm not planning on streaming a lot. I think I might have the Purple app, as you say. Like, I have an account for it, but I don't know if it's worth me streaming on there, because I barely ever do it. Maybe I'll stream more. Who knows? But most of the time, I'm not going to be able to stream because I need to film my builds so that I can make a build video for YouTube and stuff. And I really only have the one camera. Alright, I think this is good. That's probably a good size. What's the bet Palpatine returns again? You never know. You never know if he's going to come back again. All depends on what kind of writers you put in the room. Let's see. Oh yeah, you didn't see the questions and wonder where they came from. YouTube. I have YouTube questions. Yeah, YouTube's a little bit better. I think the quality is a bit nicer because I'm streaming directly from there. Let's go back to YouTube. The duels and the lack of George Lucas effects. Sorry, an O'Rourke, but we sadly cannot agree that the Rey and Kylo era was good. Icy Floridian says, I found that there's stuff that I like and don't like across all the movies. The series is ultimately made for kids, and I'll always have the EU and old games if I need to fix. Life's too short. Yeah, the Legends, as they call it, or like the expanded universes for sure. Like, a great place to go to get your Star Wars fix. Everything you possibly need. I think the prequels are fairly weak, except Episode 3, and certain elements of the prequels are really good. Clone Wars is fantastic. I totally agree that Star Wars is for kids, but I also think that there's a universal appeal. So it appeals to both adults and kids alike, even though they are more geared towards children. But just because they're geared towards kids doesn't mean that the quality of writing should suffer. Like, if you look at kids' cartoons these days or kids' movies these days, the writing is absolutely atrocious. Whereas if you look in the past, kids' movies' writing could both appeal to adults and children at the same time. Probably because, you don't want to bore the adults who have to go see these movies. You want to have the adults also enjoy their time to a degree. And who knows, maybe people just cared a little more about what they made, because maybe it took more work to make in the past. At least that's what I can tell with live action stuff. I don't know about animated things. Duels, we're doing a callback to emphasizing the internalization of the character, less about flips, barrel rolls, like their duel in The Rise of Skywalker. They're both struggling internally while trying to duel. That's true, but also there was still no growth, really. If you're going to be showing that kind of stuff in your fights, you still have to make, one, the fights need to be good, which they weren't. Two, they actually have to have characterization in their fights, which needs to be supported by the story, and the story was fairly weak, so the fights were also kind of weak when it comes to trying to characterize, their internal struggles and whatnot. Because the fights in the original trilogy were not very good. They're pretty good in terms of the simplicity and the fact that they use some fencing techniques, etc. But the reason they're elevated so highly is because they're supported by the weight of their character story. But unfortunately, just like I said earlier, because of the nature of how these movies were made, with no plan from beginning to end, it essentially made it so the characters were confusing and shallow. At their best, they're shallow characters, which means they don't have much depth in there. But that's not the character's fault necessarily. That's just the fact that they didn't have a cohesive story. And they not just they didn't have a cohesive story or like a continuing plan from 1 to 9 or from 7 to 9. It's the fact that the directors and writers were like literally fighting each other's choices. And then trying to fix each other's choices, which wastes time in developing your own choices, which is not great. Too bad that eventually there will be no more of that hilt because it's discontinued, yeah. But, you know, you can always just find people who resell them. Because a lot of them were made, it's just... You have to go on Facebook groups in order to try and... This one's too fat. To try and get them, to find the ones that people don't want. Because eventually people just want to change their collections, etc. So they sell them, or had a plan to make them, but never did. So it's not going to disappear completely. You should stream more, but don't overdo your limits. Yeah. See, I'm not sure what I'd be streaming, because I don't get too many builds all the time. And the builds that I do, I like them to be brand new. So let me explain. I like making build videos showing how I go through the process on lightsaber builds I have not done before. If it's a lightsaber build I've done before, maybe I'll stream it. Because it's a bit boring to watch the same kind of build over and over again. I did a few of those in the past, and I'm like, it's kind of pointless to do another build video on this exact same lightsaber. So maybe if I have more projects that I've done in the past that I have to do again, I'll stream them. Other than that, I don't know what I'd be streaming. Let's see. Heard a rumor about Amy Adams playing Mara Jade. Oh, you know what? I heard about Amy Adams being in that Starfighter movie or whatever. I think Ryan Gosling is in it. And I heard Amy Adams was supposed to be there. I didn't hear that she was supposed to be Mara Jade. That's interesting. It'd be kind of weird to have a Mara Jade and never have a Luke Skywalker. Because from what I hear, Starfighter is supposed to take place in the sequel era or right after the sequel era. Which obviously Luke Skywalker's gone, so they're just going to have a Mara Jade exist without Luke Skywalker. And then in the movies they never had him reference, or there's no hint that there was a Mara Jade. I don't know, but hey, if they make it work, they make it work. I like Amy Adams. But I also feel like Star Wars feels a little weird with famous actors playing characters. I feel like Star Wars is better when you have new actors who are really good. You have to have good actors, obviously, but there's a lot of good actors out there who are not mainstream or who are not A-list actors. You don't need A-list actors in your movies, especially Star Wars, because the magic of Star Wars is kind of like it's new characters, so you can kind of get into that world even easier, you know? Because if I see Ryan Gosling on screen, I'm just going to be like, oh, it's Ryan Gosling. I mean, I guess Samuel L. Jackson was in Star Wars, but I was a child when that came out. So he's always just been Mace Windu to me ever since then. But I always felt that he was an exception to that sort of rule. But who knows? They can definitely make it work. As long as they make good stories, I really do not care who plays what. As long as the acting's good, but more importantly, I need the stories to be good and the characters to be good. And I think Ryan Gosling is a good actor. He's a very good actor. But also, I think they're hiring these A-list actors or whatever because they need that sort of draw. Because I once met someone who's on the distributing side of movies and TV shows. So they basically purchase the rights to movies and then sell them to streaming services. And then I heard he was telling me about why these movies are worth certain amounts, etc., and why movies have certain actors. It's because these actors have a price tag attached to their head. Essentially, a specific actor, if you have them in your movie, will be able to bring in a certain amount of money to the box office. So if you get someone like, we'll just say Mark Hamill, if you have Mark Hamill in your movie, he'll be able to bring you X amount of millions of dollars to that movie, guaranteed, no matter how good that movie is or how bad that movie is. So, these movie companies, these producers, they get these A-list actors not because they're good for the role, not because they're the best for the story, but because they bring that price tag along with them. That set amount of money. So that's kind of what I'm looking at these days when I see these actors being hired in these movies. Like, Netflix is a great example of that kind of hiring practice. You see all of these Netflix movies that are absolutely horrible, but they have great actors in it. It's because they paid these actors a huge amount of money to be in them, which is why these actors don't really give great performances. But also because it's a quick way to make revenue, make money. So I don't really like seeing that in Star Wars. Star Wars should be like story, character, find the actors that are... Plus it's great having Star Wars be like a place where new actors can go and then they are able to showcase their skills and then skyrocket to fame or whatever. It's pretty cool because not a lot of movies do that. They don't hire no-name actors for the reasons I already explained. It's not because they're the best choice. There's tons of actors who can do just as well or maybe even better than the actors who they hire. It's literally just what amount of money is tied to their head. What can they bring in to the final end product in terms of revenue. And A-list actors obviously have the most amount of money that they bring in just because of their name. It's not necessarily like the director's fault or anything, it's a lot of the producers and whatnot. Because directors, most of the time, they care about their story and the movie that they're making, but it's these producers that make a lot of these decisions. Love Clone Wars? Yeah, Clone Wars is the best. How about game streams, but you teach us your great knowledge and learn from us chatters that we know in the background? Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be fun. I do play a lot of games, or I'm trying to play more games. I used to play a lot, but then, you get older, life happens, you play less. But I'm trying to get back into it. Like I mentioned in my earlier streams, I have Jedi Survivor, I just have not played it, so I'm sure I could stream that. That could work. But then again, I'm not really able to branch too far away from Star Wars or lightsabers, or else people aren't going to watch. But then again, not a lot of people are watching anyways, so maybe I can just do what I want. And then I can play all sorts of games. Oh yeah, on TikTok, Baka Fresh. I don't know how old this text is, but you think people do all of the streaming platforms who seriously stream? Yeah, I think so too. And I'm not a serious streamer. I just decided to stream this build for whatever reason. Did you buy it or make it, and whose is that? This is Rey's lightsaber, the very end of episode 9, her yellow one. And then I do not design them, I do build them. So all of these come in separate pieces, the electronics, all of the brass pieces are separate 3D printed parts. All of this was designed by other people, I just put it all together. Add my own flair to it. So this is what it looks like. I now have to add some heat shrink. So let's see, what heat shrink do I need? Well, they seem to keep to no names when they did the sequels. Oh yeah, I think it was awesome having the no names for the sequels. That made it way better. Plus they were all good actors too, which is great. I thought John Boyega did fantastic with Finn. I was super intrigued with Finn. I thought everyone did great with their characters, but I think Finn's character had the most potential. But they kind of sidelined him, which is a little sad. Do I want a smaller one? Don't love too many big names coming into Star Wars. Not sure where Rosario Dawson falls, but she was a great Ahsoka. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Rosario Dawson, she's acted in a ton of stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen Daredevil or whatever. I haven't seen when they brought it back to Disney. But I watched the original show when it was coming out on Netflix. Love that show. One of my favorites of all time. but Rosario Dawson was in that. Can't remember what else she was in, but she's like sometimes an A-list, sometimes a B-list, mainly a B-list. In any case, I thought she was great with Ahsoka. I didn't watch the show, but I've seen clips, and everything I've seen of her, great. So yeah, I'm not sure where she falls either, but I think that one's fine. J4CK, I assume you want me to say Jack? Jack, hi, can I get a reply? I'm a huge fan. You can absolutely get a reply. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. Thanks for following. We're just chatting about Star Wars and other things while I work on the minute details of this lightsaber. Trying to figure out how big I should cut these. Because these are going to be little accent pieces. Let me show you. So I'm going to have them sitting here. Hello, David. Welcome to the live stream on YouTube. I've gotten a few Davids so far. I get confused as to whether this is the David that's been here before or hasn't. I think the previous one might not have. Or maybe you guys have both been in this live stream before. I don't know. Alright, is that the right size? Maybe? Might be a bit big. Let's try a bit smaller. Yeah, nothing too crazy today. Just little bits of work. Okay. We have different size heat shrink that I'm cutting now. That one's definitely too big. There we go. I think that might be the size. There we go. Come on. Right there. Yeah, that's the size. What do you guys think? Don't want it too big. You're the same David from before? Yeah, I thought so. Your profile picture looks familiar. The other David, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think that's the same David as before. Okay, so I think this is the size of the heat shrink that I'm going to go for. Just have to make, what, 6 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think 6. All right. Then I have to try and make all 6 of them equal length. Okay, that's 2 of them. It's pretty much equal length. Yeah, pretty much. Just gonna have little shreds of these things everywhere. Okay. Oh, no way, I just cut it to the perfect size. Awesome. Probably never gonna happen again. That one is a bit long. Or is it the right size? Actually, might be good. Not bad. Okay. So that's 4. about you? You're too long. Am I from the future? I don't think so. Oh, I cut it too short. Whoops. Okay, is this the same size? I think so. Ah. Alright, come on. Is this the right size? Nope, a little big. Maybe? I think that's pretty much the right size. I think this one is still a little big. There we go. One more. I have so many tiny little heat shrink scraps. Maybe I'll make a couple extra just in case I fail at shrinking them. There we go. I think those are all pretty much the same size. Sorry, I just got some text. Okay. Let's see here. I think those are pretty much all the same. Let's bring it closer to me so I can properly see it. Yeah, I think those are pretty much the same. Let me grab a few more, just for safety. This one too small? Yep, too small. Way too big. That'll work. Just cutting a few extras just in case. Alright. So we have those two, which are the same size. That one is also the same size. So it's that one. There's that one. All these are looking pretty good to me. This one could be a bit small. Okay. Alright, so we have like one extra. Now, I guess could start gluing things in place. Let's just make sure nothing explodes. No explosions.
Well, core stability at 93.138%.
It's looking good. Alright. Explodes? Yeah. See, I'm always worried about explosions. If you've ever fried a soundboard, you'll know the white smoke that comes out. And then there's like a burning smell, etc. I think I've seen a spark once. Yeah, not good things. Things you do not want to see. You call that fried? Yeah. Well, explosions is a bit more dramatic. Let's see here. We're not flat. Be flat. Please be flat. There we go. You know the white smoke and the spark? Yeah. Yeah, not fun. See, that's why I thought I didn't mess up the soundboard from earlier. Because there was never any smoke or smell or spark. Yeah. Hopefully when that new board comes in, everything will be just fine. Yep. Probably somewhere around there. Looks pretty good, I just have to glue them all in now. I don't like bending these too much. Might just tie this thing down with some Captain tape for now, so it stops popping out and getting in my way. Always wires sticking out. There we go. Sheesh. You like Andor? I've never seen Andor. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't watched most of the Star Wars Disney Plus shows. But I hear Andor is really good, and I liked Rogue One. I haven't watched either season. Man, this isn't cutting right. Sabers are about the price of a new game console on average. And I stopped playing video games, so needed a new outlet for your nerd energy. Yeah. See, unfortunately with game consoles, it's just a one-time purchase. With lightsabers, feels like it's never ending. Although with video game prices these days, you'll pretty much reach a new console just in your spending pretty easily. Games are too expensive these days. I mean, I understand it. Making video games is significantly harder than it used to be. It takes more more time, more energy. So I get it. But like, still not nice to have that price tag. Okay. Not too bad. You only got one saber, the rest you window shop? You're stronger than most. Stronger than me. At the very least. A lot of the times, just one saber leads to another. It's like an addiction. Andor is the only one worth watching of all the shows. That's what I hear. I liked The Mandalorian, the first season. I never watched the second one. I think there's a third. I didn't watch that one either. But I liked the first one. It was pretty good. But I hear Andor's like on a whole nother level. Sheesh. This tape does not want to stay. Alright. Let's try a new one. Remember when the NES was only $90? Wow. I think the NES was just before my time. I grew up in a PlayStation household. I mainly grew up on the PlayStation 2, but my house also had the PS1. Or just the PlayStation, I believe it's called. Just PlayStation. And then we got the PlayStation 3. And then I think I bought my PlayStation 4, and then I bought my PlayStation 5. I've played Xbox on like friends' houses or whatever. Then I moved over to PC for quite a few years. Now I kind of go back and forth between PC and PlayStation. PlayStation's a little bit easier to like play and have someone else watch in the same room. At least with how my stuff is set up. I know you can set up a big monitor or you can plug your PC into your TV or whatever, but it's a lot of work I haven't gone through. You have a dad who loves all the old game stuff, and you get why? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the earliest game console that was in my household was the first PlayStation, but I didn't even know we had the first PlayStation because it was just sitting in the garage. Like in a box somewhere. And we had some games too. Rose Gaming Aposips says, I wish it was a real one. You know, I don't wish it was a real one, because then that's dangerous. I don't really want that in my household. I'm gonna cut myself. The cat's gonna cut herself. Burn, I guess. It's a lot more fun having them be fake and safe and fancy like this. I don't think real ones would be nearly as nice looking. Okay, what am I doing here? It's too much glue. Something like that, probably. Go, and then we're gonna throw one of you over. Right there. Something like that. Think that's good. I'll shrink this one later. Yeah. You love Legend of Zelda games, and Sonic was second best. I never played any of the Legend of Zelda games, surprisingly. They look great, though. And then I didn't play a lot of Nintendo, although I did have a Wii. The Wii was, like, honestly one of the best consoles ever. It's really good. Your first game was a Game Boy because your dad had 5 to spare? Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I played a lot of the Lego games when I was a kid. On the PlayStation 2. Then I played a lot of the, I had some Spider-Man games. Like Friend or Foe, I think it was called. I played that one quite a lot. Can't remember all the games I played. And then I would, as a kid, I would take the games and then bring them to GameStop to try and make a little bit of money or something. To get new games as I got older. Probably should have just sold them online, got more money from it, but it was easy to just bring it into GameStop or whatever. Okay, do that. Heat shrink. And then... Come on. There we go. Perfect. That's about right. Come on. What's happening here? That is about right. They seem about the same to me. See, I don't want one of these wires to stick out more or have a bigger bump than the other. I want them to try and be as symmetrical as possible. The Wii looks longingly into space. Oh yeah. Such a shame it disappeared. I think the Wii U failed. They didn't market it right. You were Team Sega playing the Mega Drive Genesis. Brand name change between Ireland and US. Ah, nice. Yeah, I think that was before my time as well. The Sega Genesis. It was called Mega Drive in Ireland? Interesting. Dark Forces 2 on the PC was your first big dive into PC gaming. You remember watching your dad put together a PC to play it. It alongside the Star Wars VHS tapes got me hooked for life. Ooh, yeah. See, I had the Star Wars VHS tapes. I had a small TV, literally like this big. Wait, you can't see what I'm framing. It's probably as big as this square here, the outer square. I had a small VHS TV, and then I still have the VHS tapes in my drawer over here under my TV, but I don't have a VHS player. But yeah, I would watch them on repeat. Oh no, what am I doing? Did I put glue in here? I don't think so. No, no glue, good. But yeah, I would watch the VHS tapes religiously. Then I get disappointed seeing the Disney Star Wars. I haven't watched the movies on Disney just because I can't watch the special editions or whatever. All the changes they made. Especially in episode 4 and 5. I don't think they made too many changes that were horrible in episode 6, even though the celebration at the end they did change, which I don't like as much. I mean, I understand why they did it. It makes a lot of sense that they have the celebration between, like, the entire galaxy or across the whole galaxy. That just makes a lot of sense. But also, watching it originally how it was made, I just like it better because of nostalgia. but I also think I like it better just because it feels more like a close-knit thing. Like this small little celebration on a moon in the middle of nowhere. And these guys did such a huge thing, and Luke is celebrating, or not celebrating, but he is burning his father. I just kind of like it. But I understand why they made that change. I also understand why they put Hayden Christensen as the Force Ghost, but I don't like it. So I think a lot of the changes I understand in Episode 6, but in Episode 4 and 5, I don't get it. Like, if you look at Greedo shooting Han, they make Han's neck, like, crank to the left or right or wherever it was. That looks crazy. And then they added voice lines. I didn't like that they added voice lines to Darth Vader. I think it was Episode 6. I don't know, but in any case, I had my VHS tapes cloned over to a CD. They didn't do the best job. There's some static in there, but you know, it works. After 2 weeks of having your Wii, your brother accidentally threw the Wii remote at the Wii. Oh no! That's horrible. That's why they have the straps. But yeah, I've thrown my share of Wii remotes. Got yelled at. Not great. The OG cuts were the best. The fan-made to specialized editions are supposedly really good too. I tried to get all that to work on my computer, but I got pretty nervous with all the things that you have to do, download, etc. And then when I did do everything, I wasn't able to make it work for whatever reason, so yeah. I couldn't quite get that to work. Luckily, I do have my original VHS tapes here. Or pretty close to the original. I'm not quite sure if they're like the original. I think those are really hard to get. But they don't have any of the additional scenes, voice lines. I think they have the original special effects as far as I'm aware. I've tried to compare them on YouTube, etc. And you were talking about PC gaming. My intro to PC gaming, I had two main games, because, let's see, I wanted to play Minecraft back in like 2012 or something, and I had a laptop, but it was a Mac or something. I had a laptop so I can do some homework, I guess. I don't remember why, or maybe it was my dad's laptop. Can't remember. But in any case, it couldn't run Minecraft, so I tried my best to figure out how to build a PC. My dad helped me figure that out. And then we worked on that together. And then I played Minecraft on the PC, but then I also... Well, no, I think 2012 I was playing on the laptop, then after a couple years, I think 2014 was when I made my PC. Still played Minecraft, but branched into other things once I got Steam. And then I started with Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I think that was 2014. Let me look it up. When was that? Yeah, 2014. So that's where I really started getting into PC gaming and stuff. Then I branched out to a lot of games on Steam. Like all the Batman games, Batman Arkham games. Amazing. Played all of those. Could never get into GTA. I just don't really like it very much. Never played it fully, but just not my style of playing. I don't really play games with guns too much. Just not as fun to me. I like games with a lot of melee weapons or fists or heavy story-based. I know there's story-based missions and stuff in GTA. But again, not really my speed. Maybe I'll try GTA 6 when it comes out. I tried playing Red Dead Redemption 2, I think it was called. The one that came out in 2018 or something. 2019, one of those. Tried playing that, but I wasn't very good at console because I had spent so many years on PC. And the controls there are kind of tricky to get used to, from what I remember. They're a little weird. Probably because it's so in-depth. They need to have it be kind of complicated controls. Plus, I think it was mainly the fact that I had spent so much time on PC and trying to get back to PlayStation. It was pretty difficult. Now I'm pretty, like, okay with PlayStation because I've been doing it a lot more. But yeah, try playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm sure I'll pick it up again. Recently, I've been playing... Let's see, what have I been playing? I picked up Minecraft again. I did for like a year, 2 years ago with my friend, and we had picked it up after like 6 years of not playing. And then we played together for a year. But then we dropped it. Then I picked it up recently. But I've been playing a lot of PlayStation games. And recently I was getting into Final Fantasy VII, the remake. So I did the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is what I'm currently working on. I've taken a break from playing that one, though. Because I think I got busy. I have to pick it back up again, though. There we go. The last game that I played was Metal Gear Solid 3. Well, not 3. Metal Gear Solid Delta, I guess. The remake. Because I played the original. I really like it. I think the remake was great. Especially if you play it on its, with the original, or like a simulation of the original filters to make it a little more yellow and green. But yeah, that game is amazing. Metal Gear Solid series is awesome. I played a lot of Metal Gear Solid 5 when it came out. That was what, 2015? Jeez, that was 10 years ago. And they haven't made a new one since. Not that they really can. Well, they made Metal Gear Solid Zombies or something like that. I don't count that. That's not... No. That's not real. Okay. So that's all of these red wires glued in. Now I just want to make them pretty much the same shape if I can. Doesn't seem like the glue is really holding them very well. But it's doing the best that it can. They're all pretty much the same. Now it's just a matter of getting these heat shrunk. Do I wear wigs? No, I don't wear wigs. I know where that's from, though. That's funny. Let's see. Is this working? And no, I'm not going to do the accent. Because I am horrible at accents. Come on. Just shrink, please.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Okay. These things do not want to stay. But it's the best I can do. Yep. Not bad. So you have a thin neck hilt that you're planning on upgrading the chassis for. The emitter PCB holder is superglued into the emitter part of the hilt. Any advice on removing it? Do you need to remove it? If it works, you can just reuse it. Like if you need to remove it, you could use some acetone or maybe isopropyl alcohol if that's strong enough, but just be very careful. But yeah, like Archer says, melt the glue or dissolve it, and then I use a screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver preferably, but something that I can just smack at with a hammer to just push it out. But if you really don't have to, just leave it. The new chassis has a thin neck connector. The one you have is wired through the thin neck to the main chassis. Oh, I see. So it goes from the thin neck to the main chassis, so it's not like a removable. Yeah, the best you can do is if it's a thin neck lightsaber, I have one. Hold on. Just grab the nice one. This one is not installed, but this is the Roman props MK1. Let's zoom out a bit. So if you have your chassis like permanently installed in here, unsolder the soundboard, unsolder all the pieces where the wires are connected to the emitter, pull out the chassis so you just have the dangly wires and stuff. Use a little bit of acetone up in the emitter just to loosen up the hold a little bit. Let it sit. Stick a screwdriver through the thin neck, has to be a long one, all the way through the thin neck until it hits the PCB or the holder, and then I just either push at it. If the bonds have broken off enough, you just push it off, or you use a hammer to just smack at it. So that's how I recommend you do it. Here, you guys can have a look. There we go. This is my Rudy Pando crystal chamber. Had it for a very long time. I'll probably unweather it, make it shiny again. But yeah, I'll have this installed eventually. The acetone won't hurt the metal on the hilt, not as far as I'm aware. Like it isn't able to do anything to the metal. Now if it has paint on the metal, it'll mess with the paint, or any kind of weathering or whatever it may be. Then you'll have to worry a bit, but if it's just metal, no, you don't have to worry. But you'd just be using acetone on the inside too, so it's not going to affect anything on the outside. Just be careful with it. Don't, like, glob it on or whatever. Use what you need. Use it carefully. And you should be good. And that's pretty much that. Time for some water. No paint, War Sabers, Katarn hilt, nice. KR Sabers just made a removable chassis you're upgrading to. Very nice. Then yeah, you'll be good. Shouldn't be too hard. I once had to do... Man, something's in my throat. But I once had to completely remove a chassis from my creepy uncle lightsaber. They tried to add a bunch of glue to it. Because I guess the inner chassis was a little wobbly, so they decided to add some glue, but they added way too much glue. This is just an example to give you a visual, since this is not the creepy uncle, this is the Roman props Buried Hope. But the chassis was a little wobbly, and they decided to try and secure it with glue, but it seemed to me like they poured glue all over it. So I spent hours trying to break it down with acetone. The whole thing was just stuck to the inside of the hilt. So I had to whack at it, chip away at it, etc. It was a nightmare. It's a huge pain. Oh, and this is my Buried Hope. Does it have battery in it? It does.
Battery level 74%.
Not bad. If you guys didn't see this, I designed the chassis and installed it in one of my videos from Bamboo Labs. Just did it from start to finish. I designed the chassis. I also have it free on Maker Lab if you guys wanted to try it out, see how it works. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I tried doing blade detection or chassis detection on it, but I think the connecting bit between here and here, just the fact that the threads are so thin or something, I don't know, but it would make weird connections. It would like connect, disconnect, and be all strange until it's fully screwed in. So I think the threads are so thin that it doesn't move the chassis fast enough to make a solid connection, so it makes it all weird. And with Roman props, he has this little, I guess this ring, so you have to have a recessed blade, which I've never made before, but I made it, and it's not too bad. It's a little wobbly, though, and I'm not sure why. Mr. Miyagi, welcome. Have you been here before? Don't think so. I think he left. Anyways, we're pretty good on the heat shrink and these wires. We just have to glue the top ones in now. Almost done. Yeah, pretty much almost done. I mean, I still need to install the new soundboard, but yeah. There's going to be another section here that's going to take a long time. And that's just tiny little rods that I have to cut and put in the holes here. Okay. So those are all pretty much in place. They're not glued or anything, so they can move around, and this is about as tight as they can get. More streams after it's done? Yeah. Who knows, maybe I'll come back and stream more. I have to figure out videos I can make every day. Just simple videos. Streaming might work, but yeah, I would need a purpose, a reason to do it. Plus, this lightsaber's build has taken way longer than it should have, so I kind of need to do other things. Just a little bit of glue into these 4 wires, and then we're moving on to the most tedious part. Which, honestly, I'm probably going to enjoy more than I've enjoyed other parts of this build, just because of all of the mistakes and stuff that have happened in this build, all of the hang-ups and hiccups, etc. It'll be nice to do something simple. There we go. Am I going to cosplay for Halloween? Probably not. I haven't done anything for Halloween the past few years, actually. I need to change that, but if you guys can't tell, I'm kind of a stickler for detail. So if I were to make a costume, I want it to be as good as possible. It's really hard for me to wear a costume that isn't good or accurate to the costume I'm trying to portray. And that takes time and effort that I'm just not willing to put in right now. And I also don't have the knowledge or skill for that kind of thing. One of these days, I'm going to make a movie accurate, like, some Jedi robes or something. One of these days. And then that's probably just going to be my costume for multiple Halloweens in a row. I want to do other things, though, but again, I need to be able to spend time and money to make things accurate. And like I was saying, I was playing Final Fantasy VII or whatever. I'd really like to dress up as Cloud at some point, just because we have similar builds. And I'm like, I could do that. But I would need to spend a lot of time making the costume work, and then the sword. I want that sword too. It's massive. And I was thinking I could 3D print it and sand it and paint it and whatnot, but I don't have a good place to sand it because it's going to create a lot of dust. It's not good for the lungs. I'd have to do it at a park or something. Because I don't have a garage anymore. Or driveway or something. Rent a workshop? I'm not paying extra money for a workshop. No. I'm just gonna work on getting my life in order to a point where I can then make enough money to buy or rent a house or something, and then I'll have myself a nice workshop. But right now, the best I can do is just this table. Looking pretty good. There's one more left, and then we're done with the wires. I'm surprised I haven't gotten completely insane by listening to this Star Wars lo-fi playlist on repeat for hours and hours and hours. I do find myself playing it in my mind occasionally if I'm walking around doing stuff and I just hear some of the music. So maybe that's a little bit of insanity kicking in. One day you'll get Mr. Beast to notice you, and then he'll go bankrupt because your hobbies are expensive. That'd be funny. That's just funny to think about. Imagine your hobbies being so vast and so expensive that even Mr. Beast can't afford it. Okay. Funny thing is, I've never seen a Mr. Beast video. I know who he is, though. And I've seen clips of his videos, so I know what kind of videos he makes. There we go. pretty much finished. Now, we're going to be working on, like I said, what used to be the most annoying part. It's very difficult, very tedious, but at this point, I'd rather do this than, like, replace the soundboard over and over again. And then worry about everything not working. So we're going to be cutting this rod. Well, it's technically a tube. As you can see, there's a metal bit going right in between. We're going to cut it, and I'm going to sand it so that the tube is open, because when you cut it, it pinches the metal and closes the tube. I like having the tube open to let light out, and it also just looks cleaner to have a circle rather than like a pinched thing. So basically, we're going to be doing that 12 times, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, wait, hold on. These aren't holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, we have to do this 12 times. So we have to make 12 of these little thingies. Crimson Flag, oh, welcome back. Yeah, if you want to hear how the lightsaber build's been going, head to the very beginning of the video, like 3 minutes in, 5 minutes in, something like that, and then I describe where we're at with the install part of this. I'm waiting on a soundboard to come back, because I ordered a new one. Okay. One of these ought to work just fine. That one? Did I ever use Tinkercad? Not yet. I have an iPad coming my way. I think my dad had one that he bought that he doesn't need because he buys things all the time. So he's shipping it to me. It's one of the older iPad Pros, which is very nice. And since he doesn't use it, I'm gonna use it, and then I'm going to try and model things on there because I think it'll be a little easier for me. I'll try out Tinkercad if they have an iPad thing as well. I'll try it out anyways. I need to learn how to 3D model on multiple things. What are they called? Multiple softwares. That's technically what they're called, but I think there's something. Tinkercad is a 3D modeling software. I don't know. I'm just going to say software for now. Oh, why are you not going in? There we go. But yeah, I'll learn. I'll figure that out. Probably going to take me a little bit of time because I'm not the fastest learner at these things. Yeah, I tried Fusion 360 and it's annoying. I can do very basic chassis using it, and that's pretty much the only one I've learned. I've kind of learned. So I'm trying to move away from it to learn how to do other things. I'll try out Tinkercad. What happened to the old one? Yeah, if you skip to the beginning of the video, I explained, but essentially I think I mixed up the positive and negative at the very end of my install, and while it didn't fry anything, there was no smoke, no sparks, and they have reverse polarity protection. While there was none of that, I think it did mess something up, so the blade... Everything works except when you plug it into the blade. The blade flickers, has white, it goes crazy. And then I did a bunch of tests for multiple hours yesterday, swapped out boards, essentially, and I swapped it to another one that was also broken, so that wasted a bunch more of my time. So I swapped it to my test kit one, which is this one, and everything works perfectly, but the only issue is this is not a 9-axis, so there's no magnetic detection. No magnetic sensor. Yeah, I think this is too big. Yeah, way too big. Oh, if they changed their mind on what soundboard they wanted, that would be absolutely insane. Because I'd have to swap it over. Probably make it work. Just be a little annoying. How small do I want these to be? Don't I have a bunch of extras? This is my bag of previous Rey lightsaber build parts. Don't I have a bag of... Or did I use them? I might have used them for the previous build. Are they watching the streams? I think they saw a little bit of one of them, because he had sent me a message saying he saw a comparison between these two hilts, and he wanted me to use this one rather than the Astoria Workshop one, which is perfectly fine. So I swapped out the emitter thing that we installed in the previous live stream, swapped it from the Astoria, put it in here. I also spent a few hours yesterday working on the button, which works fantastic. It took a long time to get it to work like this, but it only works if you do a tiny little flick. Takes barely any effort at all, but you just can't press it and leave it there because it won't spring back. So you have to give it a little bit of power, a little juice in there. But so far that's the best I could do after hours of smoothing things out with sandpaper on the cog, filing down the washers on the inside that allow the rotation, and adding lithium grease spray. So a lot of work went into that, and that's how it ended up. If you wish, I'll send you mine so you'll have a good starting point. If you have a 3D printer, you can print it straight away, or you can make adjustments to your liking, your 3D model. I think I'm okay, thanks though. If I need assistance, I think I'm just gonna live stream again. I'll live stream while I'm designing stuff. You know, that's a good way to put some live streams in. While I learn how to design things, I could live stream and then you guys can help me out. Or at least watch as I learn. That could be cool. Yeah, so this is a super small tube. You can kind of see it there. Super small tube. And the part that's annoying is sanding down the back end of it in order to allow the tube to open up. Because I don't like the pinched look. I like there to be a clean hole. And I have to do this 12 times. You guys think that's a good idea? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And it'll give me motivation to stick with it. But I need to be able to balance my days a little better. When I work on lightsaber projects like this, that tends to be the only thing I focus on. And I try to spend all of my effort and all of my time on it. But then I disregard doing other things in my life, so... That's why I kind of like easier builds better. So I don't throw my life away for like a week at a time or whatever. Shouldn't have been a week, it should have been like 2 days. Because the previous few ones I've gotten done in maybe 2 or 3 days. In any case, I think I will try to keep my streams to like a 3-hour maximum. If I am to stream more. And I think that would be good. And then I'll stream a little bit in the afternoon so I can spend my mornings doing the things I need to. Okay, so I pulled out the little rod that was in the middle. There's a super skinny aluminum rod in the middle of this tube. I think that's to help keep it open. Which definitely does help. But it's not perfect. and then I use the back end here to try and clear it out, and then I just do this over and over. You know, Tim over at Tierfon uses Fusion for all his 3D printing and modeling. I thought he used, what was it? I thought he used Shaper 3D on his iPad. Did he change that up? I think Solo Sabers was using Fusion. That's how I learned originally, because he made a tutorial on it, which was great. But that was me basically just doing a very basic one. So the tube doesn't get crushed. Got it. In shipping or just in general? Because I found that it helps a lot with keeping the tubes open when I cut them. But it's not perfect. But then I use them to help clear it out and etc. But now I have a clean hole all the way through. And hopefully that'll fit. I don't want to put it completely in there right now because that's kind of against what I'm going for. So I kind of need 12 of them of that size. Uses both? Okay. So he uses both. Yeah, so I guess that means I definitely need to learn a lot more than just one, but I need to find one that's easy for me to learn, just so that I can know all the different tools I have at my disposal, and I can speed up my thought process in designing. I just need something that'll allow me to learn easily. Fusion 360 is hard for me to just sit down and try and learn. Kind of boring, kind of tricky. Shows them all off in Fusion on his YouTube stuff. Nice. Yeah, I've seen a couple of his like 3D renders of his chassis, which I think looks really cool. So he does all that on Fusion. That's pretty neat. But yeah, his chassis are, I love them. They're fantastic. They're probably my favorite designs. So I want to be able to design similar to how he does it. In my own style, though. I don't know what style I'll have, but I'd like to develop a style. Something where you see it and you're like, ah, yes, I know who made that. He uses Fusion 360 for most of his chassis and Shaper to design greeblies and tubing. Interesting. Very interesting. Does he sort of like port them over or something? Does he design the basic chassis portion in 360 and then he moves them over to Shaper for the greeblies and tubing? Or I think he changed it where he now has little panels he glues into his chassis. Does he design those panels in Shaper 3D and then design the rest in Fusion? That'd be interesting. In any case, I need something to help start my learning process. He ports the greeblies and tubing into Fusion 360. Ah, interesting. Yeah, that's complicated. I don't know how any of that works. So, I have a lot of learning ahead of me, but I'm sure it's going to be a pain. But once I'm more comfortable with it all, I'll be able to make some cool stuff. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Okay. You've seen him do work on an iPad and import over into Fusion? Yeah, I'd like to do the work on the iPad because working on the iPad seems a little bit more intuitive to me. I'm pretty slow on the mouse and keyboard when it comes to that stuff. But again, it all comes with practice and experience. It's a pretty small tube here. Might be a bit too small. Aldani Customs. Learned a lot watching your videos. Thanks, dude. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I could help. I don't think my videos are the best formatted. Not the best in terms of planning and stuff, but I try my best to show the whole process and that 1-hour tutorial, even though the audio is not great, the video is a bit dark, and it's not well organized. I think it helped with getting people started at the very least, which I'm pretty happy with. I'd like to start doing tutorials on like all the lightsabers. So, for instance, you go to the Saber Armory and they have their hilts and hilt kits. I'd like to do tutorials on how to build each one, but obviously that means I need money or someone to pay me to do it. But that'd be pretty cool. I'd need to find a way to be able to make the tutorial quickly. I could probably just speak to camera and then as I build, and there you go. Maybe I can talk to Cal, see if we could work something out. Maybe he could send me one over and then I could give it a try. That'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm the best person to do it, though. But it's always worth a shot. These stupid tubes. So tiny. Okay, using the tweezers to shove out the metal rod is pretty useful. Try everything, even if you don't get it right. You never know, right? Yep. Yep. There we go. You know, both you and Tim have greatly inspired to build your own hilt from scratch. You have almost exactly what you want it to look like down. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm inspired to make my own hilt too. I was working on the one from the Custom Saber Shop's MHS builder thing, so I have one designed there. But it would be really cool to design my own from complete scratch. I'll get there, eventually. I really want to make nice chassis. Okay, so that's 2 down, maybe. A bunch more to go. Not as bad as I remember. Still tedious, but not that bad. I think figuring it out at first was the worst part. Figuring out how it all... the whole process of sanding these down. 10 viewers on YouTube. What the heck? That's a lot. Hello, guys. Why are you here on a Wednesday? Isn't it Wednesday? Yeah, it is Wednesday. Well, today we're just working on the minute details of this chassis, like these tubes here. Obviously, I can't press it in yet. There we go. How far do we want to go? Maybe there? That looks good. Let's cut it. There we go. Seems a bit big, if you ask me. That's a better size. We'll do that. That's good. Okay. What's crazy is I think there's a lot of people that I've either inspired or helped get started on lightsaber building, and most of them are probably going to get better than I am. Just because, like I said before, I'm pretty slow at learning new things. because I don't exactly have all the time or energy to sit down and learn these things and try and get really good at them, like designing your own chassis or hilts, etc. And that's just kind of cool to me, that I could help people at least get started, and then they're gonna go on and do really cool things and hopefully contribute a lot to the custom lightsaber community. It's really cool to think about. And who knows, a lot of the times I think they'll learn a lot of things and then help me, which will be really neat. Because there's a lot of people who go into lightsaber building, or really anywhere, with their own particular set of skills and things that they're good at, and they can bring that to the world of lightsaber building or wherever they end up, which is always really cool. Because I know a lot of people who started with, or started the lightsaber community, like Stock Custom Works, I think has a lot of electronics knowledge, software, engineering, that kind of thing. There's a lot of engineers. There's software developers, video game developers. I think Sloth Furnace is a video game developer. And they all add something to this world of lightsabers. Your main tutorial video for building the Desert Wanderer got you started. You've done a number of builds since. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm glad I spent all that time working on it. I need to make another one. I want to make more tutorials just with different hilts. But that requires me to get different hilts to do these tutorials on. And yeah. I'd like to do basic ones, but I don't get asked to do a lot of basic lightsaber builds. But yeah, I'd like to do more of the tutorials. You've installed 22 and customized 13? That's awesome. That's really cool. That's a lot. See, I don't know if I ever want to get to a point with building lightsabers where I'm building them all the time, because I'd end up building the same ones over and over. I like doing new things. Means less money, etc. But you know, I like building these for fun. Filming them. Filming them is just kind of what I fell into, because people liked my lightsabers. So then I started showing them how I made them. And I don't necessarily like making the videos. It takes a lot of time and effort to edit. I'm not very good at editing. I need to sit down and learn how to add cool edits and probably have a proper script to these things to make them more interesting. But my real passion lies in just building these lightsabers and trying to make better ones, work on new features I've never done before, trying to integrate features in different ways. Like with force activation, it was just a feature that no one ever used. I had never seen it used when I first put it in, or first installed force activation. Then I use it all the time, because I found it in the manual and I'm like, that's cool, I want to try that. And then the videos I made with them started getting super popular. You love customizing to match up with games or genres, crossovers? Yeah, that's cool. Those are really cool. Have you seen the Halo crossover hilt? There was also a Portal. I think Starfall Sabers made a Portal, the video game Portal. Like a portal gun version. So cool. Is this long enough? I don't know. I'm just gonna make a bunch of these, I guess. You're 62, retired, terrified of electronics, but you wanted to make your own saber. My video helped you believe that you could, and watched in-depth tutorial a lot, and now you're on your second chassis install. That's awesome. That's fantastic. That was my whole point. Because a lot of people think building lightsabers is hard and that you need a lot of electronics knowledge. I went into this, I built my first one when I was like 17 or something. I had done research beforehand. There was barely any resources to help you out. And I had no electronics knowledge, no soldering knowledge, and I just kind of figured it out as I went. And I was hoping that my videos could help inspire people to build their own and also to sort of demystify it, because it's really not that hard, especially these days. Back then it was way harder to try and figure out what parts you need. You had to calculate resistors and stuff for the LED, like in-hilt LED things, the Tri-Cree LEDs. But NeoPixels made life so much simpler. And then with the improvements on the soundboards and stuff, yeah, I just wanted to demystify all of that and make it easier and more accessible for people. Because it's really simple. And you learn a lot of cool skills doing it, and then at the end you get an amazing lightsaber. It's super cool, and then you can grow from it, which is even more exciting, at least for me. You can build crazier and crazier builds, do more and more features, and it's a fun hobby. You learn a lot. Daniel on TikTok is back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're doing the same things pretty much. I got all the wires glued in. Right now I'm just working on all these tubes. Super tiny tubes that are going to be in these holes here. And I want to make sure that they're all open so that light comes through and that they look visually nice and not all pinched. You have the Halo one? Going to install the Tearfon hybrid in it? Nice. Nice. Yeah, that one looks awesome. I never played Halo, but I appreciate the design elements. You and Megatooth are the best school to learn. I've seen a couple of the not Megatooth, Megtooth. Yeah, I think I've seen one of his videos. But yeah, super helpful. And like I said, most of you guys are going to go on to have way more skill than I have at building these lightsabers, which is really cool. Yeah, I think that's going to be a perfectly fine size. I wonder what size Goth3 Design says to cut them to. The videos are definitely an inspiration. Started watching your videos when you did the Kestis Survivor hilt, and you've been hooked since. Yeah, you've been commenting on a lot of my videos. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you enjoy them so much. Let's see here. Where is it? The Rey Saber. Where are you? It's in here somewhere. There it is. Rey. DIY instructions. What size do they say to cut these tubes to? The 1mm outer diameter tube in small bits using the nickel rod to clean. Doesn't say what size. Great. Thank you. Very helpful. Yeah, I want to post more videos, but I have so much stuff I need to do, and I get distracted, and editing's not very fun. So I have a bunch of build videos that I have filmed. There's a few of them I have edited that I need to do voiceovers for. I think this month I'll be working more on that. Jeez, what the heck? It's not that deep, is it? Really? Cut them to a size. Yes. That's just about as helpful as those instructions are. Cut them to a size. Wish you could stay for the light up and everything else, but it's getting late and you have school tomorrow. Yeah, no worries. I lit it up earlier in the live stream. If you head over to YouTube, it does record them, so you can always just look back on them. This one is episode 6. I also did a little bit in episode 5, but episode 6 is I showed off the chassis a little bit, and then I put it in the hilt to show that the blade is working now. So just head over there tomorrow. It'll be uploaded, so you can see it. Thanks for tuning in, Daniel, on TikTok. Looks like it's been about 2.5 hours of working on this. Man, I take so long while live streaming. All I did was glue in, what, 6 or 8 or something, and then 4. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to live stream the super complicated builds too often. Slows down the process quite a lot, surprisingly. But it's pretty cool to talk to you guys about it. All right. So we have a few of them down. I think I want to make a bunch of extras.
Show me the one whose safety deems such destruction.
Just for any future builds, I guess. Because it seems like this one's my most popular lightsaber to make for people. Since this is my 5th one. I don't think I've made any lightsaber 5 times. The creepy uncle I might have done 4 times. Anakin episode 3 might have been 3 times. Maybe 4. Hard to say. Alright. It's way too far. I think I want them all like that size. Just about. It's a bit long. Need to cut it a bit shorter. That's probably fine. You imagine it slows down a lot. You tried streaming some of your model building and drawing work on Twitch, and it made everything twice as long as, at the very least. Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't think it would slow me down so much. I didn't even really think about that when I started. And then I get distracted too, so then my thoughts aren't like completely on the lightsaber build. I think that's why I've made a couple mistakes around here. Mistakes happen, but like I think live streaming makes the distractions a little bit higher, so you're more likely to make mistakes. Because the past few times I built this lightsaber, I did it so quickly, and it all worked first try. It was great. But then there's also these super small, tedious things that do take long no matter what. Like getting the cogwheel to work as best you can. Getting these rods done. That sort of thing. This one's a little bit longer, but that's okay. Let's just cut this to a size I think looks nice. That looks like a good size. I think I'll stream for maybe 1 hour more, maximum. But I think I should be done by then, because I'm not going to glue these rods in today. Just because when I get the new soundboard, I want to put the soundboard in, make sure everything works before I put these rods in their holes. Because putting them in is basically permanent. It's going to lock everything in. And I won't be able to move them. I have no idea how I'd be able to take them out. So I'm going to leave these little rod tube things for the very, very end. Once everything works perfectly, and I know it'll all be fine. Interacting with people that did it for you, people would ask an unrelated question which would derail you from what you were working on, and you'd have to remember, yeah, that's what was happening to me in a lot of these streams earlier on. I'd get asked questions, I'd go on tangents, then I'd forget what the heck I was just doing. Okay. Getting there, we have a few of them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but I don't know if all 7 of them are a good size. Go. That's probably a good size. Let's do that. Yeah, I think eyeballing it is way easier than trying to stick the rod in here and then cut it to a specific size. Just doing it by eye. Better. Yeah, yesterday, I think there was a conversation where we were talking about some ethics and stuff. Because if you guys aren't aware, my field of study for my bachelor's degree was philosophy. So he started to bring up a little bit about moral relativism, which is everyone believes in their own good and bad, etc. And I think moral relativism is one of the worst theories of philosophy ever. At the very least, it's horrible for society. So we kind of went off a tangent there while I was having this debate with that guy. And then talking about, I think it stemmed from talking about the light and the dark side of the Force, etc., and my views on all that stuff. And then he said, it's all a matter of perspective, what's good and not. And I'm like, no, there's objective good and bad. That's for sure. And then that whole debate kind of slowed down the process. It was very interesting, though. I enjoy having those kinds of conversations. To a degree. It's easier if you're doing it in person, though. Or maybe not, who knows? So these conversations can definitely go all over the place. Some are more distracting than others. That's a good size. We'll do that one. Okay. Making some good progress here, not bad. I have a system down. Okay, this is not cleared up yet. As long as you're having fun, that's the important part. Yep, as long as it's fun, as long as it's not mean-spirited, these conversations. It's all good. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this tube is clear. Very nice. That'll work. And when the time comes, I'm going to choose between my tubes here as to which ones I want to use. But for now, let's just keep at it. Let's just make a bunch of these. Then I'm going to have lunch at a reasonable hour. Do some exercise or something. And then work on other things, I guess. I have to figure out what I need to do today. I always have videos to work on. Could start that tomorrow, though. It's 1:45 where I'm at. Kind of been skipping lunch during all of these streams, so I can just continue to work.
This resistance.
Okay, just gotta open up the hole here. 4:46 where you are. East Coast, right? Yeah, I'm on the West Coast. Of the United States, if that wasn't clear, because I'm sure that there's people here who are not from the United States. Pretty crazy how we can communicate with people from other countries so easily. Right, we're almost there. $3.46 for you. From all over the country then. Alright, not quite. A little bit more sanding. Technology is great, yeah. It's pretty cool. Where the heck did all this come from? Next, someone's gonna say it's $27.90. Yeah. Come on, why is this not working? The hole's still not big enough? attracted the aliens. You know, I've gone down whole rabbit holes about aliens recently, the past few months. If you guys ever watch the channel The Y Files, talks all about aliens and stuff. It's pretty crazy. Crazy stuff. I like the whole historical aspect of these alien stories and stuff. With archaeology and whatnot, past ancient civilizations. You should check it out, it's pretty fun. The Y Files. I would start by watching their most popular videos, because I imagine that'll be... They go deep into those kind of conspiracy theories, but he deep dives into each one, and then at the very end of the videos, he goes over whether he believes them or not, and then he debunks some of the things that he can through his research, and then he tells you what he couldn't debunk, etc., and then allows you to make your own opinion on what you think, whether it's real or these things happened or not. It's pretty crazy. It's very fun, yeah. Sometimes it's not fun, though, because it gets a little too real. Like, ooh, maybe these things could actually exist, or maybe, because he goes into government conspiracies, too, maybe the government did all these things. A lot of the government conspiracy ones, though, he has actual proof as to the fact that they did do these things. Horrible things. Experiments on humans, etc. Like recently, I watched one of his more recent videos about face peelers in, what was it, Nepal or Brazil or something? Is one of something like that. And essentially, it boils down to, it seems like some sort of government or some people are harvesting these townspeople's organs and stuff. And if you read the comments, you can see some people have their own stories. This one guy, I think his cousin or something, some relative of his, was visiting family out in that countryside or that country, talking about how they knew people that sold out other tribes members to whoever these people were, and then they'd find them with missing organs and stuff. Because the human organ market is a giant moneymaker, apparently. Pretty scary stuff. Wouldn't put it past our government at all. Do some messed up stuff. Oh yeah, especially back in the day, during like the secret, back when like the FBI and CIA were secret organizations or whatever. They do experiments on people, on animals, super deadly viruses, and like chemical warfare things that got out. And then there's experiments on hospital patients, mental hospitals, which is why mental hospitals got closed, because they were doing horrible things to the patients. But you also look into it on the more interesting conspiratorial side of things, where they have, what are they called? I forgot what he called them, but they're like people with psychic abilities, and there's like proven government programs where they do experiment. Doesn't mean that they're real, but it means that they at least had these government programs checking out the possibility of these psychic phenomenon where people could go out of their bodies mentally and either into the past or the future, or like one of his videos was someone mentally projected into Mars, like onto Mars in the past, and found like there's ancient alien civilization on Mars that got wiped out a long time ago or something. Pretty crazy stuff. Can't really prove any of it, and he says that in the video. But there's some people that are a little more believable than others, but just the fact that the government had these kinds of programs. It's pretty wild. The Men Who Stare at Goats Situations. That's a movie, right? Or is that a book? One of those. I haven't watched or read that. From lightsabers to conspiracy theories. Oh yeah, we're all over the place here. I wonder how I am as a person. I'm into a very, very large array of things. Like someone tuned into my live stream when I was just trying to experiment, or trying to build up my live stream numbers because I needed to have 3 25-minute live streams on TikTok in order for me to unlock certain camera stuff so I could actually have this camera angle. And I decided for 2 of them to just play Minecraft, do some Minecraft parkour or whatever. And they're like, I didn't think you'd be into that. I think a lot of people think that, because I'm into a lot of things. I used to have a motorcycle. I had to sell it, though, because I was never using it. And I don't imagine people would think I, rode motorcycles or whatever. I was starting to. Tons of fun. It was like my favorite thing ever. It's a movie? Yeah, I had looked into that. So what... Explain to me, like, briefly, the plot of Men Who Stare at Goats. Because it sounds interesting if it's something similar to that kind of mental projection, whatever. Only hungry snakes strike or eat pets? I had a snake. Oh, what are you guys talking about over there? I need to check my... Oh, wait. No. My live stream changed on TikTok. What's going on over there? Live access removed. What? Misinformation? What? That's crazy. Guys, my TikTok live stream just got revoked. My access got removed. For misinformation. That's crazy. What the heck? No way. It'll be restored on October 8th. A week? What? That's wild. And I believe the United States government just made a deal with TikTok so that the United States has control over it now, so it's no longer Chinese controlled. So maybe they didn't like me talking about those conspiracy theories. That's crazy. Well, I guess I have to be careful on that on TikTok. Jeez. Wow. That's crazy. Guess I'm not streaming on TikTok for a week. Wow. At least YouTube's still up. That's pretty nice. Maybe I need to be more careful. I'm gonna get audits or something now. They're like, he's peddling in conspiracy theories. I was just talking about a YouTube channel that I was enjoying. Come on. Wow, that's weird. That's gonna make me look into more stuff. Guess I'll do some research on who's in control of TikTok these days. Very interesting. Because I've been fine talking about literally everything on TikTok Live and YouTube and whatnot, but the minute I start talking about those things, it shuts down. Really makes you wonder. That's the fun of these conspiracy theories, until it gets too real, and then, it's not fun anymore. We have a lot of these tubes now. Okay. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We need one more to complete it, but I'm going to make more than that. Men in Black shut you down. Yep, they shut me down indeed. But who are the Men in Black who control TikTok? Is it the Chinese government or the American government that's in control of it right now? It's all up in the air. Man, they didn't give me a warning or anything. Wow. Just immediately shut down. Let's view details. Does it give me anything other than just misinformation? That's crazy. Misinformation. Guess I could submit an appeal. Maybe I can get my live access back earlier. Okay, we're just gonna continue with these rods. Making some extra in case something happens and you mess up the tubes. That always a smart move. Yep. Yeah. Gives me options too, whether my lengths are correct or not. Because I don't want them too long or else they're gonna stick into the hilt, and I don't want them touching anything. And I don't want them too short because I need them to support weight. Or at least hold things together. There we go. Oh wait, that rod's not supposed to go in my bag. Okay. This tube is basically done.
You're a good soldier, Rex.
Okay, this tube is good. Now we have all 12, but not all of them are great. Good stream to 2 to 3 hours. We're already past 2 hours. Yep. I'm probably going to go at 3 hours and 30 minutes, so probably in 30 more minutes. Which should be enough for me to get my rods done. But again, we're not gluing anything in today. Not the rods or the tubes here, because I want to make sure the soundboard that I get works. And I might not be live streaming again for a little bit, because I'm basically not going to come back until I have the soundboard to replace. And I'm not sure I'll even stream the whole process of doing that. But I will come back once everything is completely done, I'll live stream for like an hour or two, showing you the full completed product, that kind of thing.
I have to sort this out on my own.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of these live streams. I'll have to find something else to stream. I'll do a little bit of video games, I think. I'll definitely play Jedi Survivor. I'm sure I'll do that on live stream. Forgot how to do that on the PlayStation. I have it set up, but I forgot how it all works.
This isn't about you.
But I'll look into getting that done, and then once I get my or get time and stuff to design, maybe I'll live stream practicing design stuff and learning how all that works.
I can't stay here any longer.
There we go.
Not now.
Maybe you could show us some of your most interesting lightsabers in my collection. Yeah, I'll do that too. I'll try to get my TikTok stuff up so my TikTok followers can watch. I'm sure they'll be interested, but apparently you're not allowed to talk about the government. Not allowed to have fun. I'll try and appeal that so I can get on live a little sooner, otherwise I'm gonna have to wait for about a week or so. Yeah, I'll show off every saber in my collection, and then I'll show off my favorite ones. You'll be a little disappointed because most of them don't even work. And the ones that did work, I've kind of had to cannibalize and like take out a soundboard or two from a couple places. For instance, if something gets messed up like this one, I would just normally go to one of my builds that I have and just rip out the soundboard there and replace it. But I'm all out of those. I do have a 9-axis CFX in my MB sabers, but I'm absolutely not ripping out that soundboard. That's a nightmare to have access to. Video games are always a good choice. You could also take us along learning different modeling software journey. That would be fun. Yeah, I think those two things for sure. I'll title my live stream Learning How to 3D Model or something. And I can take your guys' suggestions as to like what YouTube videos I can watch to try and learn how this is done, etc. And I guess I've kind of learned a little bit how OBS works while trying to set up these streams and get music going and audio going, so I think I've learned how to set up different scenes, so I can have a screen recording, and then I could have like a hand camera or something when I'm trying to measure my hilts and stuff. So then I can just swap back and forth. Maybe I can get fancy and get transitions or something. Getting ahead of myself, that's way too fancy. Start simple. And then add like one element of cool stuff at a time. I wonder what YouTube would do if I started posting a bunch of videos on just, not posting videos necessarily, but doing live streams of playing video games and stuff. I wonder if that would screw up the algorithm or however that works. Not too many people are watching my videos anyway, so I don't know how badly I could screw up my algorithm. But I wonder what would happen. Because I do have a different YouTube channel, the one that I've had for many, many years. That's just my gamer tag. And that's where all my subscriptions are. That's where I watch my stuff. I was thinking if I were to play games, I'd put it all over there. But I wonder what would happen if I put it all on this channel. that would be a smart move or mess things up, who knows. I think as long as I continue to make lightsabers and stuff, people won't complain too much. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just do a bunch of things, like make my video game videos, like the live streams or whatever. People might come tune in, be entertained by that, be interested, check out my lightsabers. Who knows? I'll give it a try. I just haven't tried it. Because I know YouTube channels that specialize in one thing often do a lot better. Because they stick to their niche, as they call it, and then TikTok knows where your channel lives and who to suggest your stuff to, etc. Who knows? But it's not like my YouTube videos are making me any money, really. Like barely anything. It's like pennies. And it's not like many people watch my videos anyways, unless I make a tutorial. Those do pretty well. I should probably make more tutorial videos. I'll do that after I get rid of my backlog. So I really need to start working on that more. But yeah, I'll figure out how to get the Jedi Survivor thing going at least. Live stream that for a couple hours a day maybe, so it doesn't interrupt stuff I should be doing with life. Just these projects that mess up all my timing. Because like I said before, I focus so heavily on getting these projects done that it takes away from everything else that I do. Until the project is complete. Whoops. Oh no. Bent that. It's okay. It's fine. Let's just... Oops. Swap it to the other side. I think I'll do this for the next 25 minutes and then I'll call it a day. Because I've made probably enough of these tubes. I just want as many extra as possible, just in case one of them doesn't work or I lose one. Plus I'll have extras for future Rey builds. I'm sure I'll have at least one more in the future. Seems like people like them. I don't blame them, they're really cool. Not bad. we go. That is another tube down. Yep. Awesome. How many do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 4 extra, I think. Five concurrent viewers on YouTube. Welcome. I'm not doing anything too interesting, just cutting these tiny little tubes to finish off this Rey Master Chassis build. The tubes go in these little holes all along here, and it'll help hold in the plastic to the metal. I won't be gluing them in today, because I need to swap out soundboards. But I'm at least preparing them so that when that day comes, it'll be pretty easy. And I'll just be streaming for the next, like, 20 minutes. And we'll see how far I get in those 20 minutes. Oh, this one is not wanting to open up. Wonder how many people who join the live join and then skip backwards to try and start from the beginning. That'd be interesting. Because then I'm trying to talk to people who aren't even here. Because they just join and then leave. And then they'll hear the comments like 2 hours later. And this tube does not want to open up. Might be stuck on this for the next 20 minutes. Yeesh. What the heck? Why is this tube being so uncooperative? All the other tubes were pretty fine. This one just does not want to open. It's kind of ridiculous. There we go. Finally making some progress on it. Not bad. Hopefully these are all long enough.
Again, you're breaking my heart.
Let me test. Something like that. Probably. I think that works. It's gonna get stuck in there though. There we go. Yep, that'll be just fine. Cool. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17-ish. I think I'll make one more.
It seems in your anger you killed her.
There we go. That one cooperated way better. Wow. Might be able to do another one. Yeah, no problem, Archer. You pretty much made it to the end of the stream anyways. I'm about to finish in like 10 minutes, probably. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the contributions to the stream, like always. And I don't know when I'll be streaming next, but might be a video game in the next couple days. Might not be. If not, I'll be coming back in like a week, once or whenever I get the soundboard. And then I'll be just playing around with the lightsaber, showing it off. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Making some good progress on all these tubes.
I've never been so lonesome in my life as I am right now. lost without you, Padme.
Can you show us the function of this board before
Realized
make the sound in all fonts?
any one person
Before the
so much.
yeah, well I'll show you when I have the actual board in there. The real one. This is just a placeholder. It all works, but it doesn't have like the force activation features and such. I'll show you basically everything. Once I have this completely finished, I'll show you it working with the blade. I'll go through all the fonts. It's nothing crazy, it's just my standard fonts, the free ones that I have for customers and stuff, plus the Rey. And then the accent sequencing, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll probably set up the new feature with the force activation, like a proximity detector with your magnetic ring and stuff, and you can set up the pixels on your board to act in certain ways once it detects magnetism in certain proximities. I only have it brighten the pixels that exist. I like having the all the pixels be dark, and then when the ring goes closer, all the pixels brighten up and stuff. It's really cool. But you can set them up to do whatever you want. I just have them do what they normally do, just because it's easier. Alright, this one's the last rod, for sure. Okay. This tube is pretty much done. So for anyone who's watching this for information, I guess, these tiny tubes hold the chassis together, and there's an inner like nickel rod or something, and then the outer 1 millimeter diameter tube. Basically, I just try and measure to the size I want, cut them with these wire cutters, and then I use my sandpaper to sand it down, and then try to poke the nickel rod through in order to make sure that the tube is open and not closed. Then I'm using the tweezers to kind of help open them up. So there we go. We have a nice bag of little rods. I could definitely do more just to prepare for future builds, but I'll leave that for later, for another day. Probably the next build I do. Now it's time to clean up, and then end the stream. My favorite part of the day is cleaning up at the very end. This is pretty satisfying, having the massive mess and then cleaning it all up. Probably put this in here. Okay, I'll just plop everything in this bag. Yeah. Okay. Now it's time to put everything away, and then I'll be back in like a week. Or whenever the soundboard pops in, then I can replace the soundboard, put all the tubes in that I just cut, and then the whole thing is going to be complete, which is very exciting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. It's a shorter one today, even though it's 3.5 hours. Just got a little bit of detail work done on this chassis. And hopefully you guys can tune in to the next one, whenever that is. I might do a video game live stream before I finish off this chassis while I'm waiting for the thing to arrive, the soundboard to arrive. So who knows? Just keep an eye out. It'll be exciting if you guys are there for the live stream. But if not, I understand, because, you know, you guys are interested in building of lightsabers, not watching me play a game. But if I'm going to be playing anyways, I might as well live stream. I'll see if I can get the chat on the TV or something. That'd be interesting. But yep, that pretty much concludes the live stream. Hope you guys enjoyed. And next time I should have TikTok up so that people can watch there as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Whenever that is. See ya.